Learning the ropes. Maybe you've heard of double dutch, the jump rope sport that involves two ropes, multiple jumpers, and complicated steps. Maybe you've heard twirlers recite the rhymes and seen the jumpers stepping in unison under the ropes. But do you know how this sport began? If you guess it has something to do with the Dutch, you're right. However, double Dutch professionals believe that the history of this sport dates much farther back in time. Just how old is it? It most likely started with ancient Phoenician, Egyptian, and Chinese rope makers. These craftspeople worked in spaces called rope walks. Usually located near seaports, most rope walks measured about 900 feet long. Here's how they worked. First, the ropers tied bunches of hemp around their waists. Two strands of hemp were attached to a big wheel. The rope makers then walked backwards, twisting the identical strands together into rope with one uniform width. As they worked, helpers called runners moved back and forth, keeping the spinners supplied with hemp. These spinners, runners, and their families brought each element of their work into their leisure time. Gradually, a game developed that has passed from generation to generation. Hundreds of years later, Dutch settlers brought their double rope jumping routine to their trading town, a town that is now New York City. When the British arrived later and saw the game, they named it Double Dutch. Actually, this is only one version of how the name came about. Another account claims that it results from the colonial rivalry between Britain and the Netherlands. Back in the 1600s, the competition between these nations drove the British to engage in name-calling. Soon, they began to refer to anything they didn't like as Dutch. Later, anything confusing or difficult became known as High Dutch or Double Dutch. Wherever the name came from, Double Dutch is certainly difficult. It's now also an internationally recognized sport. David A. Walker is credited with transforming the game. Along with a team of instructors, Walker organized the first Double Dutch tournament. He also developed a form of Double Dutch called fusion. This form combines jumping with music, making the sport even more difficult, but this hardly intimidated Double Dutch enthusiasts. On the contrary, fusion made the sport more popular. Thousands of athletes have mastered this form. They have to. Fusion is the style used in tournaments, and teams qualifying for higher rounds always use it. Double Dutch teams now come from places as far away as Japan. The sport, which was once dominated by females, now includes boys and men too, and they rank among the champions. Double Dutch isn't your mother's jump rope game anymore. If you consider its ancient origins, it never was.